You may be able to take a kidney that is 80% gone and help that kidney to keep up viability of the remaining 20%, but you're not likely to regrow the 80%. And I say not likely because we don't have enough experience with these fields over long periods of time to know whether that's a possibility. There's some research, for example, we know clinically doctors have a sense that you can't regrow cartilage or that you can't regrow ligaments. But in the laboratory setting, in what we call in vitro, it's actually seen that you can actually regrow cartilage cells. And the same thing with ligamentous tissues. So I don't really know yet whether over long periods of time, the kinds of intervals that we're talking about for use of the QRS, whether over 5 or 10 years, you may actually be able to get some regrowth of things that we would in medicine not normally think to be regrowable. Let me give you another example, nerves. Most of us know that nerves, if you cut a nerve, it takes a very long time for that to regenerate in the body. Some research, at University of Kentucky, is showing that magnetic fields can accelerate the sprouting of new nerves and new nerve cells where there's been an injury. So we know that the magnetic fields, even under those circumstances, may be able to help with the regeneration. So that's basically what I would tell you about regenerating organs and tissue and healing. Anybody else?
How does the QRS compare to the VEFE, which is made in Australia? And can you use both at the same time or on the same day, not at the same time, but on the same day, or do you have to eliminate one or the other? Also, can you use a magnetic bed mattress while you're using the QRS?
Well, let me start with the second question first, because I know that one for sure. You can use the QRS alongside static magnetic fields because they function actually quite differently in the way the body uses that energy. It depends on the kind of magnetic mattress system that you use because there are a lot out there, and you really have to sort of understand the underlying mattress pad to be able to get a sense of what it's going to do for you. Let's say if you take the typical Niken mattress pad, there are not that many magnets in it compared to, say, the Bonley or the Magnetico mattress pad, which has a lot of magnets in it, a lot more than the Niken one does. So you will get different actions depending on how many magnets you have in it, and then how long you lay on it. Static magnetic fields, like in those static mattress pads, do not affect the body in the same way that a pulse magnetic field does. A pulse magnetic field works faster. It has a stronger effect on the body, and it produces what I call a ripple in the pond. If you drop a stone, a pebble in a pond, it creates a wave of activity, a resonance in the body that can last for quite a while.
Quantum resonance systems.
Relative to the VEFE, I think it's called bioelectric field enhancement.
Yes.
I don't know enough about that field to be able to tell you whether you can use the two together. The magnetic fields of different instruments are designed to do different things. And the fields of one instrument versus another instrument can interact. And sometimes they can be used together, but you have to kind of know what you're doing with it. You have to understand the field. You have to understand the field strength in order for you to be able to know how best to use it. Do you have the VEFE?
Yes, I do.
Well, what we'd have to do is I'd have to do a personal call with you, and we'd have to get some more information on a GPFE so I can tell you whether that's something that would be compatible or not.
Okay, thank you.
You may not need to have both, but again, it would depend very much on what the other one does. I just have to tell you that the QRS field is a very gentle field, and it's used primarily. I have to have people understand that it's best used on a preventive basis for long-term health maintenance. 8 minutes to 16 minutes a couple times a day. So some of these other treatment systems that are available are much stronger than the QRS, and I think you have to be more careful with how much you use them. In our book on magnetic therapy, a review of Eastern European literature, most of the treatment, most of the studied effects of the magnetic field were done with magnetic fields that were probably 10 to 100 times stronger than the QRS. And under those circumstances, people were treated for perhaps 10 to 20 minutes at a time for maybe about 20 to 30 treatments. And that was all. And in many cases, they found that even with that kind of a course of therapy, the benefits lasted for several months later.
Quantron resonance
So our system, now that system is a therapeutic system, so you have to go somewhere to get a treatment, and you use it for a short period of time, whereas the QRS is designed for home use and to be able to use daily for long periods of time. So again, I would have to talk to you individually about the GPFE to know what I can tell you. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Last week, someone asked about psoriasis and the discomfort with psoriasis, and I'm asking you if that's a reasonable thing to use for psoriasis. And the next question is, if I want to use the mattress pad for, say, 3 consecutive times for 24 minutes, is there an advantage to putting it on, say, 4, 8, and 10? Or should I leave it on the same reading for the 24 minutes? And that's my question.
The magnetic fields, I think, work the best for eczematous conditions. Eczema responds much better. Any chronic irritation, any chronic wound of the tissues will be improved significantly with the magnetic field. So atopic eczema, any of the typical kinds of eczema will respond very well. So will psoriatic lesions, or psoriatic psoriasis, both with arthritis, but also just psoriasis in general. And as you all know, it's a pretty frustrating condition to treat. There was one study in our book with psoriasis where they used a sinusoidal field, and they treated about 48 patients, and they found complete remission in about 15% of the individuals, with marked improvement in about 30%, and then some improvement in about 55%. So that's really essentially 100% of the patients had some level of benefit from their psoriasis. Now, in this particular case, they actually did biopsies of the psoriatic plaques before and after, and they also showed changes in various blood tests or tissue tests under biopsy conditions that those improved as well. We also have significant improvement in people who have leg ulcers or other kinds of ulcerative lesions of the skin. They improve significantly with magnetic fields. Actually, they respond very, very rapidly. So the answer to your question is, with psoriasis, there is a benefit with magnetic field therapy. In a study in our book, they used a field that was about 200 Gauss, whereas we use a field that's about the strength of the Earth's field. In that particular case, they treated people for 15 minutes at a time, and they had about 20 treatments. So what we need to do then is to use the QRS. You have to see it again as a longer-term therapy. Different people respond in different ways to these fields.